happen to give me your poor, you're tired, you're huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. Well, the people of Chicago are feeling left out. And to those complaining about the migrant surge, I just want to let you know you can't do much about it. Because if you didn't know, cities like Chicago and America were built by migrants. There have been over 17,000 migrants brought to Chicago so far this year, and they're expecting another 1,200 every day over the next few weeks. So you ain't seen nothing yet.
Resources that have not come to us, now you want to overly compensate for people who never lived here before, and we need to be taken care of first and foremost before anything else happens here.
Why would any leader put our black communities already riddled with crime at further risk by placing unvetted non-taxpayers steps away from our seniors, our children, and our homes we've worked so hard on our own to secure?
We are at war, people. Our communities are at war. They are violating our communities, and we asking that we across the country, and we asking and we're demanding for office of Black America, or whatever you want to call it, to deal with issues like this.
I did get placed on the wait list, but I was told that the immigrants was taking priority. See, that's a story that a lot of people don't know, and it hurt me. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I understand we need to be humanitarian, but these people my participants are third and fourth generation Chicagoans, born, bred, fed, and raised here. My grandmother, Mayrella Carrington, rest in peace, always said, Craig, charity starts at home first, and then it go abroad.
Politically, having over 500 people in our community would completely wipe out any interest we have.
Many of these migrants have been dumped in our neighborhoods without a plan in place to monitor and house them long term.
I'm not selling nothing. And I keep telling people, you don't have to move. If you sell, they're going to come in. If you don't sell, we got to stand strong.
I hope y'all can see that. Black residents south side of Chicago, black neighborhoods across Chicago, I hope that you can see exactly what's going on here. It looks like there's a deliberate attempt to replace you, because we know the history over the last few decades of these areas, specifically the lower income black areas in Chicago. Population has been dwindling. It's a very valuable piece of land because these are large neighborhoods in one of the biggest, most economically prosperous cities in Chicago. So leadership is looking at these neighborhoods like, goddamn, what a waste, because we have all this crime, we have population constantly shrinking, not a lot of money going on, not a lot of business. So if we can slowly replace these people, if we can flood these neighborhoods with illegal immigrants and give it time, a generation or two, give it 30 years, these black people are going to be the minorities in their own neighborhoods. They're going to be replaced, just like in Watson and Compton. Most people still think these are black neighborhoods. No, they're not black neighborhoods. These neighborhoods are ran by Latinos, and a lot of those Latinos started off as illegal immigrants. So they're making this deliberate attempt. When all these illegal immigrants come, busloads of them pour into Chicago, coming from the wide open border in Texas. They send them right to the black neighborhoods. These people don't have lobbying power. They don't have the buying power to control politicians. So when Brandon Johnson, who these people voted for in droves, maybe 90-95% of them voted for Brandon Johnson, the ones who did vote anyway, when he gets hit with an immigrant crisis, he said, okay, where can I put these people? Can I put them on the streets over there in these black neighborhoods? Is already ran down. Crime is already rampant. How about I just put them on the streets over here? In New York City, they're living in luxury hotels. They're getting all this special treatment. But in Chicago, now they're just laying all over the streets. They're sleeping on wet mattresses, got tents in the snow. They're taking over old abandoned schools in the lower income neighborhoods. They're taking over gyms. I posted that video of these black children protesting about their football club building being taken over and being used to house illegal immigrants. So I just hope that you guys see what's going on, and maybe a few of y'all will get a difference of opinion and throw those Democrats out of your cities. Those Democrat leaders, get them the hell out of your city. Let's talk about Chicago. Let's talk about the immigrant crisis. Let's talk about what's going on and get an update and go over the city's new plan on handling the crisis. This is the Bite Signal Podcast. $40 million a month. That's the price tag of having illegal immigrants in Chicago. So you have tens of thousands of these illegal immigrants who've come in since last year. And the city of Chicago, the taxpayers of Chicago, have the burden of taking care of these people. We've seen videos on social media where illegal immigrants, they come to Chicago, they go to New York, they go to other cities, and they brag. They say, look, we've made it to America and they've taken care of us. Because while a lot of the illegal immigrants are sleeping in police stations and in O'Hare Airport on the floor and in tents, some of them have been put in hotels, but they just had limited resources because they haven't been allowed to use as many hotels as they wanted to, like in New York City. And when they're housed there, these are luxury hotels. These are very nice, not some roach motel in some rundown neighborhood, but very nice hotels. They give them video games because they don't want the kids feeling depressed. They give them backpacks full of goodies, brand new clothes, walking around, and coats that cost $100, $200, $300 coats. I've seen some of them with some sports coats, the Lakers coats, Cowboys, other sports teams. And if you look these coats up online, they cost hundreds of dollars, but these illegal immigrants are getting them for free because, God forbid, an illegal immigrant makes the choice to move to some city illegally and not prepare for weather. I don't think they're giving regular American homeless people clothing that expensive, but the Chicago residents have been allowing this. Their complaints have been falling on deaf ears. We've had protests all over Chicago, except for the rich neighborhoods, obviously, because people in the rich neighborhoods don't even know it's happening. But in the regular middle-class neighborhoods in Chicago, and especially the lower income areas of Chicago, these people constantly give these speeches. They would drag in the aldermen, have the aldermen talk, give a speech. Does nothing. Everything is falling on deaf ears because they know they can get away with it. The Democrat Party, the leadership in Chicago, and even the state of Illinois, they know that they can get away with taking their residents for granted. Because come 2024, most of these same people who are complaining now, they're going to say, oh man, our neighborhood is being taken over by illegal immigrants. They're spending $40 million of our money, our taxpayer money, they could be used on us. They're spending on illegal immigrants, but we don't like Trump. Trump is a bad man. Orange man, bad. Trump is racist. Trump is all types of bad things. Whatever CNN and MSNBC tells them, they're just going to regurgitate that and then vote for the Democrats again. And the Democrat Party knows this. The DNC knows this. That's why they're issuing these orders down to Chicago saying, look, send them over there to the black neighborhoods. We got too much money going on in the higher income area, so keep those squeaky clean, keep the cops over there, keep them crime free, and keep them from being overrun with illegal immigrants. But send them to those Negroes because it doesn't matter. No matter what we do to them, they're going to remain loyal. So the state just dropped $160 million in state taxes. So you resident in Chicago, you resident in Illinois, every 2 weeks you get your paycheck and you look at it and say, God damn, the state has sucked out all of this money from my paycheck. Before you even see your paycheck, the state puts its hand on your money and sucks it out. And now that state has used your money on illegal immigrants. The main thing that they're going to use it for is $65 million to winterize housing. And I don't know exactly what that entails because they're talking about these people who are living in tents on the streets and some of these homeless shelters, some of these makeshift gigantic tents that the city has put together. Apparently they didn't winterize them during the summer, even though they knew winter was coming. So they're going to spend an additional $65 million winterizing and making sure that the illegal immigrants are good and comfortable. So when they're living in these gigantic tents and when they put the cots in there, they're going to be given all kinds of free food and free phones. And they're going to be chilling. I'm pretty sure they're going to hook up Wi-Fi in these tents too. They're using your money to do it. So not including the illegal immigrants, you have 68,000 homeless people in Chicago. Regular, everyday, normal Americans who are homeless. These guys have been ignored. Of course, you got Goodwill and the Red Cross and Salvation Army. You got all these typical charity organizations. The church is going out to feed these people, try to help them during the wintertime. But you don't have the state spending $160 million on them. You don't have the state. It's been cold as hell in Chicago forever. These homeless people have been living on the streets of Chicago forever. When the hell did the state take out 9 figures in taxpayer money to create winterized housing, to create all of these provisions for people who fallen on hard times, people who have mental illnesses, people who were in the United States military, but now they have some type of issue and they end up as a homeless veteran. The state hasn't spent that type of money to help these people, but for illegal immigrants, of course they'll help them. And this all started because when these illegal immigrants first came, Lori Lightfoot, Beetlejuice Lori Lightfoot was running Chicago. She expressed how the people really feel. She said, hell no, we don't want these immigrants here, even though they had talked all this crap about the Republicans being racist and not liking immigrants. They didn't want the immigrants in their own city. They just wanted the Republican states to deal with it. But when it came and hit them in the face, they exposed themselves. And then they immediately realized, oh, wait. It's all about political correctness. We can't let them know. So we have to spend taxpayer money. We have to neglect our own citizens in order to take care of illegal immigrants, because if we don't, then we're going to have egg out on our face. We're going to be exposed as what we are. We were projecting when we said those Republicans are racist for not taking care of illegal immigrants. And then when they came to our neighborhoods and we exposed ourselves as being exactly what we called them, it wasn't a good look. So for political correctness sake, we're going to spend $40 million a month to take care of illegal immigrants. But it's crazy now because Brandon Johnson them might be in luck. A lot of the illegal immigrants are fleeing Chicago. A lot of these illegal immigrants, they sent word back. Like I said, they sent word back to Latin America to come to Chicago. Chicago is one of the best cities, if not the best city in the Union. But they come to Chicago and they come to realize it's not all that it was hyped up to be on the internet. There's not as many luxury hotel rooms being given out like in New York City. And apparently these migrants are coming here and they just end up on the streets, on the floors of the police station, ass out broke. And a lot of them, they're being refused jobs because you need a work permit. Even though Joe Biden them authorized the use of work permits for these illegal immigrants, the process is extremely slow. So a lot of these illegal immigrants are applying for jobs and they're not getting them. And a lot of them are just either sitting there on government handouts or they're working under the table for extremely low wages that can't sustain them in an expensive city like Chicago. And like I said, they've been sleeping in these police stations, on the floor and in the airports and on the streets on wet mattresses for months. So when they look at all of this, they're like, oh my God, Chicago is terrible. And on top of this, and like I said, they put them in these low income neighborhoods. You know what happens in low income neighborhoods? Crime. So a lot of these illegal immigrants are being beat up. They're being robbed and jacked for the little that they have. So if the state gives them a little handout or the state gives them a Nintendo Switch, they are getting robbed in these American neighborhoods. So in light of all of this stuff, their living conditions, it's getting cold as hell. Winter's coming. They're dealing with normal, everyday Chicago criminals. They're saying, we got to go. We need to go back to Venezuela. So we have hundreds of them talking about, please get me out of here. Please give me a ticket. Some of them are saying, I want to go back to Texas. I want to go to Miami. But most of them are saying, we want to go back to our country. Chicago is so terrible. We'd rather go back to Venezuela. Venezuela, a socialist dictator type regime going on down there. Venezuela, where they are dealing with hyperinflation, where all this is terrible, where they were seeking asylum and running from danger and violence. They're saying, I'd rather be in Venezuela. One guy said, look, if I'm living on the streets here, I might as well live on the streets in Venezuela. This guy came over with his family. He came over with his wife and 2 kids. He was working under the table. Obviously, he was refused a job, and they've been sleeping in police station. They went to the airport, slept over there. They've applied for government welfare benefits. And he said, man, the process is taking too long. It's getting cold. We don't have any money. And we have criminals running around Chicago. I'd rather go back to Venezuela. So apparently they scraped the money. He and his family, they're back on the way to Venezuela. So Chicago is that bad. They're running people off. They're running people, not to New York, not to California. They are running these people out of the country. This was these people's first impression of the United States. Estados Unidos, oh, it's so great. They come up to Estados Unidos and they say, oh, we're going back. We're going back to Venezuela. It's terrible up here. And this is often why you see a lot of these young single guys, because you hear people talking about, oh, look, it's nothing but military age men. Nothing but men in their 20s and 30s. So it looks like some type of army is infiltrating the United States. But I think a lot of it is that these people want to come first. They want to make sure they have some type of stability. They come up, get work permits, maybe get some type of welfare, but really get some type of job in an apartment. Then they'll bring their wife and kids up. But some of them, they make the mistake of coming in. There's this guy, he came in with 6 kids, got a wife and 6 kids, and realized, oh my God, it's harsh out here. Life is terrible out here. It's easier to get food stamps and welfare benefits when it's a woman, and especially a woman with kids. But still, the process was too slow, so these people are getting the hell out of here. This is actually good news for Brandon Johnson because he acts like he wants the people there, but in reality, he doesn't. And let's talk about something that he's doing to disincentivize them to come even more. So he has this 3-pronged policy, which is going to make life harder, even harder for these illegal immigrants. So what they're doing is they're building a new intake center in Chicago, $30 million. Oh my God, you guys have rundown neighborhoods, old books, kids are poor, crime infested neighborhoods, not enough police. The school buildings are falling apart in some places. Streets are run down. You can't use that for grants. People who have good business ideas, you can't incentivize people to build business in neighborhoods that need some type of economic injection. No, nope. $30 million for an intake center. So these illegal immigrants are supposed to arrive here. All the buses are supposed to go to this intake center, and immediately they'll help these people find shelter. And then once they're going to try to persuade some of them to not stay, they say, look, we also have tickets to go out of town if you want to go out of town. So either give them shelter or put them on another bus immediately when they arrive and get them the hell out of Chicago right away, which is what they actually want to do with all of them. So the intake center, $30 million. Then on top of that, they're going to regulate. And I'm not sure this is legal. Maybe it is, but they're going to regulate what time the buses can arrive and where specifically the buses can drop off illegal immigrants. So they're threatening bus companies with fines. They say, look, if you arrive at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, we're going to fine you. I don't know if you can control when a company arrives in the city. Like you're trying to put some type of curfew, hours of operation on a private company. I don't know. I have to look into the legality of that. But they want to slow down the influx of buses. They want to have the buses sit out somewhere or even go to another city saying, yeah, it's midnight. We can't go to Chicago right now. So that's disincentivizing, pushing more illegal immigrants away. And then the big one they're doing is the 60-day shelter limit. So you come in as an illegal immigrant, they're going to give you a hotel or put you in one of these homeless shelters or one of these makeshift camps that they built. And they say you got 60 days. And they're saying they're not going to evict people. They're just going to send them a notice and encourage them to leave. Isn't that the same as evicting them? But basically, the 60-day window is for them to apply for welfare. They say, look, okay, you're here in this hotel room. You have 60 days to apply for food stamps, to apply for Section 8, and to apply for state rental assistance. And if your 60 days expires, you just reapply so you can continue to stay. So they want these people to be on state welfare, to be on state benefits. Imagine that. They said these people are a positive good to society. As soon as they arrive to the United States, they're on welfare immediately. They immediately get on rental assistance and food stamps. They are leeches. These people are leeches. They haven't worked. They haven't contributed to the economy, haven't done anything that has impacted society, but they are immediately sucking money out. And I'm pretty sure in a lot of cases, they're just going to be on it. Just like in these lower income neighborhoods, these people get on welfare and they're just on them indefinitely. And then you have some of the city officials on social media doing news conferences. They're saying, oh, well, Chicago's out of money. We don't have anything. There's no more room. We're out of hotel space. The shelters are full and it's cold as hell. So remember, don't come to Chicago. So word was spreading, it still is in some cases, but word was spreading that Chicago is the best place to be. But now word is spreading that Chicago is terrible, Chicago is awful, and the city officials are saying, yes, it's awful, it's terrible, don't come here. But I thought y'all love illegal immigrants. I thought you guys were a sanctuary city saying come one, come all, and we're going to take care of you. What happened? And these people, they're trying to talk out of both sides of their mouth with this whole thing because they want to look like they want to help. But at the same time, they're trying to keep these people away. And the truth about that whole thing is they don't want them there. The aldermen, they don't want the illegal immigrants there. The governor doesn't want them there. Brandon Johnson doesn't want them there. But remember, like I told y'all before, these people don't run Chicago. The Democrat machine, the DNC, they run Chicago. And remember, in order to be in a position of power, you have to follow the machine. You have to be part of the hive mind. So Brandon Johnson doesn't get to think for himself and make decisions for his own city as he sees best. What he has to do is capitulate to the Democrat Party. So the policies that the Democrat Party wants, that's what's going to be pushed down. Those policies are going to govern Chicago, and Brandon Johnson will be a manager, basically. He can be in that position. He can get paid. He can run his money. He can elevate his career as long as he goes along to get along. And like I said, they don't want these immigrants there. Chicago has an ace in the hole. The Chicago winter. So it started snowing in October, and it's been getting colder and colder since. And winter still isn't officially here. It's going to only get even colder, and they might even get hit with another winter vortex. So we got images of illegal immigrants suffering out there in the cold. They had to send warming buses just sitting there with their heat on all night long to help these immigrants not freeze to death. So let's take a look at this clip here talking about the illegal immigrants in the icy weather.
A bus of brand new arrivals pulls up at the 12th District Police Station today. While migrants continue to arrive daily in Chicago, the amount is not nearly as many as it was over the summer when daily bus arrivals were in the double digits. Today, the city is expecting only 2 buses. Volunteer Luciana Diaz says the Halloween day snow was a reality check for many living at the police stations.
The snow day, it was freezing for everybody, and I told them that's nothing. This is nothing, guys. You should start looking for shelter or go to other state, other city.
With the realization of a cold winter ahead, combined with the lack of shelter and jobs, many migrants we spoke with at the 1st and 12th District Police stations say if given the opportunity, they would leave Chicago for another city. Diaz says some migrants even want to go back to their home country.
They have an American dream, for in my opinion, is a fake American dream. So they asking me a lot for if I know somebody who can buy a ticket flight for them to come back to Venezuela.
6th Ward Alderman Will Hall, who traveled to the border a few weeks ago, says word is spreading on social media among migrants that Chicago may not be the best place to come. And border nonprofits say not as many people are asking to come to Chicago.
So people are beginning to get informed that it's cold, the opportunities are scarce, and that unless you want to sleep on a concrete mattress, don't come. And that's what those who have come seeking asylum have said.
Jorge Barrera has been living at a police station for 6 months.
No tenemos el dinero.
With no opportunity to work here, the 39-year-old says he would leave, but he doesn't have the money or luxury to pack up and go to warmer places like California, Texas, or Miami. Despite a migrant slowdown, there are still not enough shelters to accommodate all the new arrivals living at police stations, and the 2 proposed base camps are still weeks away from being ready and able to accommodate people.
And this alderman here, Will Hall, he's definitely playing both sides. This is the same guy. Last month, the alderman tried to have a vote on whether to allow the voters to put on the ballot to have Chicago remain a sanctuary city. The alderman want to say, hey, voters, you guys get to pick, are we a sanctuary city or not? And the Democrats knew that sanctuary city would get knocked out. So Will Hall was one of these Democrat far-left aldermen, and he and others ducked the vote. So the Republicans that were trying to vote and get this sanctuary city status knocked out. And Will Hall said, you know what? I ain't got time for this. I got to worry about potholes. I got to plant some trees over here in my district. I'd rather do anything than to actually work on and handle the illegal immigrant crisis in a way that we should. Because he knows he has to follow the Democrat agenda. He knows that if he shows up to vote, the DNC might get rid of him. Even as a Chicago alderman, they wouldn't want him in that position because he would have went against the higher Democrat agenda, which is to flood the country with illegal immigrants. But we're going to move on from Chicago. We're going to talk about another story of far left Democrats, far leftists being insane. We're going to look at what Target is doing. Yeah, Target is back in the news for the wrong reasons. But first, a word from my sponsor, me, the Bicycle Merch Store. As we discuss today's topics and ideas, remember that your values and your ideas can be expressed by the things that you wear. Check out our thoughtfully curated merchandise, celebrating traditional values and government restraint. Explore our unique collection, starting with the Supreme Style tinfoil hat, a statement piece that embodies our commitment to critical thinking and pushing back against the norm. Make a statement with the Free Trump shirt, boldly displaying the captivating mugshot of the former president, which instantly became the most famous picture in the world. At the Bicycle Merch Store, we're more than just products. We're a community dedicated to celebrating and defending traditional values. Sign up for promotions and receive 10% off your very first order. Don't miss out on these exceptional items. Embrace tradition, champion freedom, and shop now at tvsmerch.com.
Gay nutcracker, complete with a rainbow hat, a trans flag, full price $12, but right now it's on sale for $8. Target also sells Santa ornaments, but Target Santa is in a wheelchair and is black.
Doesn't make sense. You have to ask yourself, why do they keep pushing this? Who are they trying to appeal to? Because despite what the media portrays or how politicians are voting, this doesn't represent the overwhelming majority of how this country, really how the world, feels on this issue. I think majority of people, parents especially, they can acknowledge that gay nutcracker and black disabled Santa has gone way too far.
To the privileged, equality and representation feels like oppression. Disabled Santa is not taking away white, able-bodied Santa from anyone. A gay nutcracker is not taking away white, straight nutcracker from anybody. The privileged are the only ones who are offended by representation and equality for others. These are the same people that were complaining that the mermaid is black. Same exact people.
What the hell is going on at Target? Look at this. So here's the thing. Target has a track record. We saw it was just earlier this year during Pride Month, one of the 7 deadly sins, in a month where we have a bunch of naked gay men smacking each other on the ass in public in front of the little kids. But that's a different story. Target is all in. So Target initially balked. They initially backtracked. They backpedaled. I did a video about that some months ago where Target backpedaled after selling gay clothing for little children. They had Pride onesies. Now my question is, I thought Pride, gay, all that crap, I thought that was related to sex. Isn't being gay a reference to who a person or what type of person someone prefers to have sex with? So why do we have Pride onesies? Are you appealing to pedos? Here they are again. After selling Pride onesies and one-piece swimsuits for little boys where they had slots where they can tuck themselves. But here they go again. All about this Pride stuff. So Target is appealing to a very specific demographic, and I think it's an idiotic move. So they want to make money from everybody, but by doing this, they alienated a large portion of the customer base, something that Bud Light did, something that Target clearly didn't learn from. And there's people to this day, including me, I wouldn't step foot in Target because of this. Because not only were they selling stuff like this, they were also selling clothing for little kids with demonic emblems on it. And they got a lot of pushback for that too. So they've taken a nutcracker. These people have no creativity. They take things that people traditionally like for decades, for centuries. People have liked these things. Target and these companies that Target does business with, they take these things and they just make them gay. You can't create your own characters. You can't create your own gay Christmas characters. Or why even use Christmas? You can't create your own holiday or special day, gay day, and sell your products then. And I think this is all intentional because what the Democrat Party, what the DNC wants to do, what these LGBT elemental P want to do, part of their agenda is to flip society on its head, to take cultural norms, twist them, put some type of gayness on them, some type of demonic emblems on them, and throw them in your face. That's why when you see somebody like Dylan Mulvaney, for example, what I heard a lot of people say when they look at the Bud Light can and the Bud Light commercial is, why couldn't they hire a pretty trans person? Because they don't want to. They don't want to have one of these trans people who actually can deceive you and actually looks like a woman to be the person. Like the swimmer, Leah Thomas. They don't want one that actually looks like a woman. They don't want to put them up front. They want to take one that is clearly a man dressed like a woman and throw them in your face. They want to say, look at this. We got a man, and you know it's a man. You know it's just some big brute with a dress and makeup on. And we're going to throw it in your face because we want to destroy cultural norms. We want to turn your society upside down by poisoning the minds of your young people. So you go to Target, you go shopping, Christmas shopping with your little children. They want to normalize this. Your little children got to deal with these freaks at school. They watch Blue's Clues and other cartoons. They got to deal with these woke activist freaks. They go Christmas shopping. Here it is again. They're trying to infiltrate the minds of the youth. Normalize this. And in 20, 30 years, it's just going to be gay people everywhere. And their twisted demonic ideology, which ultimately comes down to chopping penises off of little boys and giving mastectomies and hysterectomies to little girls. That's what it ultimately comes down to. Is going to be a cultural norm. They want to completely gut the norm of American society and fill it with demonic ideology. And this lady on the video is talking about, well, I don't know why y'all are crying. I don't know why y'all have a problem with this. This doesn't take away from the straight nutcracker or the white Santa. Let's take a look at the black disabled Santa. She said it doesn't take away. But here's the thing. These people push these things, like the Little Mermaid, as she mentioned, and like woke Snow White, which is coming out, and like this feminist Marvels movie, the Marvels movie. They push out their woke ideology, and then it craters financially, and then they bitch and cry. Oh, well, why didn't y'all come and spend money with us? For example, with all the feminists, they try to push all this feminist nonsense, all this feminist ideology. They talk about men are so terrible with the Marvels. Nobody went to see the Marvel, biggest bomb in MCU history. And then they said, well, it's the men's fault. It's the sexist fault. These men are sexist, and the white men, they're racist because we had women of color, whatever the hell that even mean. Colored women? Just say women of color, colored women. We had colored women in our movie. So they're racist and they're sexist because they, oh, wait. I thought a female superhero movie didn't take away from the men's superhero movie. So you said you want to carve out your own niche, feminist superheroes or gay nutcracker, and people who don't agree with it should just shut up about it and don't buy it. But then when the people who don't like it don't buy it, they got a problem. So when people don't go buy this, you're going to say, oh, that's because you're homophobic. You just hate gay people. You're anti-trans. That's why you don't like this. Or you're right. You don't want disabled Santa Claus in your house. You must be racist. So when you go to the mall and have your kid take pictures with Santa Claus, it better be a Santa Claus sitting on a wheelchair. Because if you have the traditional white Santa Claus and your kid, you post that picture, oh man, they're going to come for you. They're going to label you a racist. Why are you taking pictures with a white Santa Claus? Don't you know that Santa Claus is black and disabled? So they're trying to twist cultural norms, trying to make people feel guilty, make people feel bad about being labeled a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, whatever, in order to force this ideology on their children. But it's not going to work out. I just want to know how many of these are still going to be sitting on the shelves on sale. And I know, because Target did it in the South during Pride Month, I know that Target is going to sell this and put it up front in certain locations. Because when they were selling those swimming suits, tuck-friendly swimsuits for little boys, in the South, they had to pull them in the back of the store. In a lot of stores, they had to pull them out altogether. See, they get away with this crap in California and New York because those states are filled with a bunch of liberals who actually agree with this crap. But they can sell it in certain places. And a lot of people who agree with it, they're just going to give Target a pat on the back saying, you go, this is great, this is awesome. They're not going to buy it either. So you try to appeal to a bunch of woke actors for free. Half of them are broke, and the other half are not going to buy your product. So you're wasting your time, and you're just making yourself look terrible. We see this everywhere, like in the comic book industry too. There's this guy, he was tired of all these superheroes being strong and white, some of them black, strong male lead. So he said, you know what? I need a gay superhero. So instead of actually doing what some of these companies do, try to turn Superman and Batman gay, he actually created his own gay superhero comic book. Nobody bought that. This man was on Twitter crying and bitching, saying people are homophobic for not buying his comic book. So that same thing is going to happen here. But speaking of superheroes, speaking of the MCU, we're going to talk about what's going on with Johnathan Majors, with the Kang Dynasty, the Avengers movie, Ant-Man. We're going to see what's going on with the MCU overall. First, let's talk about Johnathan Majors. So Johnathan Majors has legal woes. We know earlier this year, spring of this year, he was accused of DV by some lady that he was with, I guess a girlfriend or just some woman he was messing with. She accused him of DV at the height of his career. He had just did, I think that was Creed 3, coming off of Ant-Man 3. He had a great performance in the movie. People were saying that he did well and that his acting, even though the movie itself sucked. But he got arrested, got charged with DV, and he's still going through the legal process. And now his lawyers actually tried to get the court to dismiss the case last month, and they said nope. But while all that's going on, Marvel is dealing with all types of issues because they put She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Miss Marvel, they put all this stuff on Disney Plus. They completely bombed. Nobody watched. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars per series on Disney Plus. Hundreds of millions of dollars overall. Almost $1 billion on these shows. Nobody watched them. Loki was received well, but Loki season 2 also bombed. And then you had all these other movies like Doctor Strange 2 and aforementioned Ant-Man. These movies are not making money. So Disney and Marvel, they're panicking. They're trying to figure out what the plan is in the future. Their movies are being received terribly. They're losing billions of dollars overall in Disney Plus and in MCU. So they're panicking, and when Johnathan Majors was supposed to be their big star, their big villain, he's supposed to be Kang the Conqueror, supposed to be in several movies and Disney Plus shows coming up, and all of a sudden he's hit with a DV charge. So they don't know what they're going to do. They're trying to figure out, okay, we can't do him like we did Johnny Depp. When Johnny Depp got hit with that DV charge, we immediately fired him and shamed him and called him an abuser, and turns out that Amber Heard was lying her ass off the whole time. So if we do a similar thing, if we get rid of Johnathan Majors and then come to find out a year or two later that the woman was lying on him, that he's innocent, that's 2 men that we just destroyed because we want to go pro-feminist. So they're kind of hesitant, but there are rumors saying that they've already decided to move on from him and they're just going to scrap everything coming up, the next Avengers, Kang Dynasty, and all those other movies he was supposed to be in. They're just getting rid of everything to just completely get rid of him. They've already hired a guy. They're talking about moving on to Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four. They just announced, I forget the guy's name, as the guy who's going to play Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. So I guess they move on from him, but we don't know what's happening. We don't know. And another thing that they're trying to do, because their movies aren't doing well, is they want to do, word is that they want to do another Avengers movie with the original cast. So they want to bring back Iron Man, Captain America. They want to bring back all of these guys that the audience actually likes, because everything that they're putting out now is not working, and they don't understand why. They don't understand that it's not working, for one, because the audience has aged out of it. A lot of these people, this has been going on for 15 years, and a lot of these people are much older with families and other things to do, and children who were raised, Marvel was already out because it's been all playing so long. They got like 45 movies or something because it's been out so long and out their whole lives. Children don't care as much as the adults do, so they're losing their audience. Their audience is aging out. They're filling these movies with gayness, with feminism, with wokeness, and the audience is rejecting it. But these people are so damn arrogant, they don't get it. They don't understand that it's their writing, their directing, it's the way they're making these movies that's making the audience reject them. In fact, the Marvels just cratered, like I said, and I'm going to read a quote from the Marvel director, some black feminist. Let's see what she said. I've been a fan of big old nerdy-ish for a long time. There are pockets where you go because you're like, I'm a super fan. I want to exist in a space of just adoration, which includes civilized critique. Then there are pockets that are really virulent and violent and racist and sexist and homophobic and all those things. So she's just hitting with all the buzzwords. So basically she's saying When I get on Twitter, when I get on Instagram, and I look at how people receive my movie, I just want to go to the spots where people kiss my ass, they get on their knees, bow down to me and say, I'm such a great person. I'm the highest grossing black female director of a movie, even though the movie is about to lose $200 million. I don't want to go to the places where people are saying the movie sucked. Where people are saying, I don't want to watch a movie filled with feminism. Where people are saying, I don't want you twisting and pushing your ideology. And our favorite superhero movies. She don't want to hear that. So people like her and Kevin Feige, they're so damn arrogant, they're just not realizing that it's their own fault that all these movies are bombing. Will they do an original cast Avengers movie? Because these guys are expensive now. Like Robert Downey Jr., very expensive to get him to come back because he doesn't even want to do it. Let's look at this.
Yes, Tropic Thunder. Tom Cruise is saying he'd like to do a sequel. Wow. Would you do it?
Look, all I'll say is this. Tom Cruise and I have not done a project yet together, and that's kind of a yes, and then we'll figure out what the title is.
What about Iron Man 4?
Does he want to do that?
No, we want to see you in that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tom, don't take it. Don't take it.
Like I said, he doesn't even want to do an Iron Man 4, so how much money are they going to have to throw at him to come back as Iron Man? But you might get some of them back because outside of Marvel, some of these guys, their acting career hasn't gone so well. They built their names in Marvel, but then they try to branch out and do other things, and nobody cares. So some of them may come back, some of them not, but are we going to want a 50, 60-year-old Iron Man? 40-year-old Captain America? I don't know. But we'll see how that goes. We'll see if the fans decide to return. So if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like, share it, and I'll see you guys next time.